What's up, guys? O6 Raby here tonight. Tonight I just want to give like a little bit of a biopic, a little bit of a bio about myself. Just a quick background story for those who don't really know me. For those of you who started following me on YouTube, Threads, Instagram. So I recently started my journey uh, to completing my first album. It's a hip hop album. Mainly, it's a '90s homage to it's a homage to '90s slow jam R&B era. Um, I infused it with rap, so I got the hip hop and the R&B going for this first debut album of mine. So I started with hip hop back in like maybe junior high. I think it was seventh or eighth grade, maybe a little bit earlier. Um, I got into it. My first hip hop CD I ever bought was Nelly's Country Grammar. Damn, I knew just about every lyric to that album. I would just sit down and write out the lyrics on the old-fashioned stereo. You stop, write down, play, write, stop, and then you play the song over, and then you rap it. I rap it off of my notebook. So I got started back in there in the early in my junior high era. Um, I'm a born and raised Hawaii boy, but I'm not a typical Hawaiian. I was adopted by my grandparents. Me, my younger brother, and then there was an older cousin above me, a few years older than me. We were adopted by our grandparents. Very early, like around 4 or 5, around there. So yes, I was raised with grandparents, and I was pretty unique. And then my we lived next to family, so did my family did all the other kids, the cousins and stuff. They were all older than me and my brother, so hanging out with them was kind of difficult. We would get picked on. Um, we get teased a lot. We was the younger cousins, so they would treat us, unlike the rest of the older cousins, because we were the younger cousins. And there was a lot of it was fun. I can't take that away. It was fun. I did have a lot of fun times. um but still, yeah, we were young. We couldn't. There's a lot of things that the older kids would do that me and my brother just couldn't. So most oftentimes it would just be and my brother alone. As we got older, um, drifted apart from each other. My cousins, everybody went off, graduated, moved off the island. Moved on the other side of the island. So coming up with my grandparents was unique. I learned that, you know because there was a lot going on in the community I was raised on, in terms of getting back to the Hawaiian culture and doing farming and fishing and hunting, um, the arts, the Hawaiian arts, the hula, the chanting and stuff like that. But I was never exposed. I was never taught how to be a fisherman, how to be a planter of taro. Nobody taught me that. So as I started getting older and I started seeing all my classmates, they would, I would be in town. I would see them. They would be gathering fish. They'd be fishing. I go to my classmates, house. They had a farm. They would be planting taro. Um, they would be doing all that cultural stuff, and I was never, I was never turned on to that life. There was nobody to teach me. My parents, they were having difficult time just surviving on their own. I wasn't living with them. I was living with my grandparents over in the country, separated from my biological parents by, like, a long way. So I didn't have nobody to teach me. Nobody taught me how to be a fisherman. Nobody taught me how to be a gatherer. Nobody taught me how to plant taro. Nobody taught me how to weave. Nobody taught me how to throw a fishing pole, throw a fishing net. So I didn't grow up doing that as a Hawaiian. And today I look back and I'm like, man, I wish I would have been more of an inquisitive kid. I wish I would have been more of an inquisitive student of, the subsistence lifestyle. But nobody taught me, and I was kind of raised as a solemn, somber kid, you know. Um, where we lived was so far from the population of the town. It was, well, I mean, it wasn't too far, but it was not in walking distance, and you had to take a car and drive down, and you be in the main community. So where I lived was kind of isolated and sected from the rest of the population of the town. So I wouldn't, I didn't have that exposure of going around and cruising with my friends too often, or go down to the beach and learn how to be a fisherman, be a gatherer. I was kind of distant from that kind of lifestyle. So as I grew older, and also I also need to mention that I started at a very at that very young age with my grandparents. My grandfather was he was a Hawaiian a Hawaiian sovereign activist. So he advocates for basically the return of Hawaiian lands, the return of mineral rights, water, fresh water, taro patches, taking care of our coral, our reef, our natural resources. So my grandfather, that was one thing that I did take away from being raised with my grandparents, is learning how to be civil disobedience, affirmative action. I was raised on protesting, for water rights. That was kind of where my story began, as coming up as a trying to find my identity. So at around age 5, 6, me and my brother, we weren't in school yet. So what we would do is sometimes they would shut off our water, and we lived in a country, so water is a very valuable thing. But sometimes the county would shut off our water, so we wouldn't have we didn't have water to brush our teeth, to cook our food, to bathe. We had to go over to our neighbor's house and borrow water. So I'm looking at this like, what is going on, Grandpa and Grandma? Why is it happening? So long story short, my grandfather he was all into the Hawaiian movement, the Hawaiian sovereignty things. So, one thing he taught me was we would go to the gate where the, county was turning off the water, and we'd hold signs. And all these signs would say mineral rights. So I remember that growing up, and as I got older, I started to understand what mineral rights was. So that's where my identity, where I started, as I got older, I looked back at that, and that's where I started to kind of find my identity in who I was and what do I believe in. So I ended up moving from the country, moved over to the city, finished my senior year at the high school over here, graduated. Then I went kind of off the deep end. I was using drugs, drinking, and then I got diagnosed with bipolar when I was about around early 20s. I forget. I think it was like back in like around 2008 or 9 is when I got diagnosed with bipolar, and that just took me out. It just disabled me. I wasn't the same person. I wasn't working. I had no goals. College wasn't working out. I had no social life. I had probably zero friends, and staying with my parent. It was hard. Bipolar really took me out. So it took some time for me to heal and trying to get a hold and a grasp of this situation that I'm facing, this illness that I have. It took a lot of uh, negative things to kind of balance out. Okay, I need to start, finding, ways how I can cope, how I can heal. It took a lot of, I've been incarcerated. I've been through rehabilitation. I've been through a lot of it for over 10, what is it, 10 to 15 years now. I've been dealing with rehabilitation, incarceration, treatment, so, and looking back now, still I'm still unemployed. My last job was a few years ago, but now I'm working on my music, working on my art, trying to put out, this clothing label. I got a lot of goals in mind that I want to do. So this was just a brief, background check of who I am. And as a Hawaiian, not knowing how to hunt and fish, but I'm basically chasing my dream, of music and fashion, and lifestyle, but as a Hawaiian, it's always in me to stand up for the rights of a people, the Hawaiian people, my people, and even though I lack the knowledge of, planting, fishing, hunting, even though I lack those skills, I still find the courage in me to be who I am at heart. And who I am as an artist, who I am as a person, from where I come from, I have a lot of compassion, I have a lot of creativity. So that's what I kind of bring, I kind of like set it on, and from him, like, okay, you may not be, the Hawaiian that, a lot of people in Hawaii are. They're fishermen, they're hunters, they're providers. Even though I'm not that, that doesn't make me any less Hawaiian. I'm still a Hawaiian. And what I'm doing I'm doing this art right now for all the dreaming Hawaiian children who's coming up. And even though they're not the ideal model Hawaiian, it's okay to follow your dreams, follow your passions. So I want to let y'all know out there, if you are, in Hawaii and you're watching this and you're on the come up, from the keikis all the way up to the adults, please just stay true to yourself and don't ever let nobody tell you no. All right, 06 Rebbe, I'll see you later.